What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video, GPU mineable coin prices are dropping, the price of graphics cards are also dropping, and we've got some new GPUs that are about to release pretty soon, and Nvidia is going to make sure if they're not going to make money, then you're not going to save any. So, before we get into the content, if you would, do me a favor, hit that like, and for those of you that are not subscribed, please consider doing so by the end of the video. So the first thing I wanted to get into today was a couple of things in the changelog from HiveOS. SRB Miner does have a new version with significantly improved mining performance on dual kernels for Dynex, Radiant, and they've also fixed some broken algorithms such as Ergo or Autolycos for Turing GPUs. Also, BZ Miner version 15.1.0 is now optimized for Radiant, Ironfish, Nexa, Novo, and Alephium. They've also stabilized hash rate and auto intensity. We got a new version of Hellminer as well as XMRig CC. Now, as far as profitability for GPUs is concerned, at 13 cents per kilowatt hour, which should be the average, it is looking pretty awful. A 4090 is only yielding about 28 cents a day in profit dual mining Dynex and Radiant. And a 4070 is making about 13 cents a day, and a 3070 is only making about 7 cents a day at 13 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, I personally am about 4 cents per kilowatt hour if I'm mining a core intensive algorithm, and the reason that fluctuates is because I have solar. If I'm using a lot more electricity, then I'm paying more per kilowatt hour, if that makes sense. So for me, or anybody that's under 5 cents per kilowatt hour, it's still worth keeping the rigs on, I suppose. But for those of you out there that are still mining at a loss, I'm just curious, what are you mining? Leave your comments down below. I would love to know what you have that much conviction in that you would rather continue to mine it instead of buying it. Anyways, moving on, when we look at the price of some of these mineable coins, we can see that Conflux is having a pretty good day today, up about 8.5%, Ergo's up about 3%, ETH POW up about 2%, Ironfish almost 2%, ETH Classic 1.5%. But after that, everything starts to look pretty bad, and Radiant is at the bottom of the list here, down about 15% right at this very moment, but it was down about 20% just seconds ago. Octa.space has lost 16% today, and Caspa has lost about 12.5% today. Dynex is down over 9%. So, yeah, looking pretty rough. Moving on, when it comes to having solar, this has allowed me to continue to mine, and I just wanted to point out to you guys, I know a lot of you have been watching the channel for a while, and you know that I only spent about $3,000 installing my own solar, and I've saved already about $800 for the cost of electricity over the course of roughly about 7 or 8 months, which is pretty good. It looks like my return on investment is going to be under 3 years, which I'm very happy with. And if you guys aren't familiar with the videos, it's some of my very first videos, so if you do go back and watch those, please be kind. Anyways, moving on. So some of the well-known YouTubers that talk about GPUs and gaming PCs and such, they've got some news to share with you guys in regards to the price of GPUs. And I just want to cover some of the highlights here. So this first one is from Classical Technology.
Prices are getting lower. I know YouTubers always tell you you should wait, don't buy now, but it's more true than ever. If you waited, for example, now, I'm seeing prices that I've never seen before across.
So we're seeing prices that we've never seen before. What does Graphically Challenged have to say? This one you may not be aware of.
Say goodbye to the RTX 4070. Let's talk about it before.
Say goodbye to the RTX 4070. Well, what the hell is he talking about? I think he's referring to this particular article that was put out by Digital Trends about 4 days ago. It says, just as the RTX 4060 family of GPUs is being launched, a new report says Nvidia may be freezing production of its bigger brother, the RTX 4070. Sales of the 4070 are reportedly so bad that the company has halted production in a desperate bid to turn things around. It's just the latest bad news for a product that has been beset with problems almost from its original launch date. As reported by WCCF Tech, the production stoppage is set to last until June, by which time Nvidia will be hoping sales have picked up. It's apparently an extension of an earlier production slowdown, which reportedly began shortly after the RTX 4070 launched in April. The idea is that by halting production, Nvidia is aiming to stop unsold RTX 4070 inventory from piling up at retailers. If that were to happen, outlets selling the cards would likely be forced to lower the price of the RTX 4070, thus cutting into revenues. That's something Nvidia will want to avoid. Well, I think Nvidia is going to be in for a surprise, because by trying to screw you, they're most likely going to screw themselves, or screw all of us for that matter. If the RTX 4070 doesn't get any cheaper, then it's not going to sell. And if they're not selling any currently, well, that's just lost time of GPUs that they could have potentially sold if they had lowered the prices slightly. And I think that come June, or maybe sometime in July, I really don't expect the economy to turn around in the next 30 to 60 days. So I can't imagine people are going to be rushing out spending money that they don't currently have right now. Also, Bokiko tweeted this the other day. This should tank the price of the used RTX 3060, with the RTX 4060 coming in at $299. Nvidia reverses course on pricing. And I definitely agree with that the 4060 and the 4060 Ti price is drastically going to reduce the price of the 30 series GPUs, especially anything below a 3070. So right now, if you go to retailers, you're looking at paying $400-$500 for a 3060 or a 3060 Ti, which is ludicrous. And if you're going to come out with a 4060 at $299, yeah, I don't anticipate that a 3060 or a 3060 Ti is going to sell for over what the cost of a 4060 is going to run you. Now, as far as performance is concerned, it doesn't look like anything amazing. However, I did add the 4060 Ti and the 4060 to the TPA calculator. And for those of you who are not aware of what the TPA calculator is, this was just simply something that I came up with to kind of give me an average performance over all algorithms. Instead of using Ethereum's hash rate to compare one card to another, I'm just simply using a formula based on the specs here. And as you can see, a 4060 is giving us a score of 73, and a 4060 Ti is giving us a score of 83. And if you compare that to previous generations, then that would be somewhere in between a 3060 and a 3060 Ti, or somewhere in between a 6800 and a 6800 XT. So as far as core intensive algorithms are concerned, it's probably going to perform pretty decently. And I'm not expecting the 4060 Ti to be impressive, but for the price of a 4060 at $299, that one might get interesting. I'm not going to rush out and buy one. I'll probably wait for someone else to post hash rates, but I am curious to see how this is going to perform when it comes to, dollars spent versus performance in mining. Anyways, going back to this article here, as far as the 4070 being discontinued, it's definitely not a permanent thing. 4070 is going to exist, but in its current form, I don't know if it's going to come back as or 12 gigabyte card. It may come in at 16 gigabytes like they're doing for the 4060 Ti. perhaps they continue to have both versions, but the lower gigabyte model, I just don't see it selling very well, especially for gamers or anybody who's utilizing it for something other than gaming, such as rendering or any type of professional work. Now, as far as GPU prices are concerned, this is not quite up to date, but it's pretty close. This is the last 18 months. You guys have seen me cover this before. A380 is actually up a little bit over the last couple of weeks. The average price of an A750 is pretty close to where it bottomed out back in March. The A770 is up considerably, and I think they've made some massive improvements with new software versions. A 3050 is about as low as it's been. A 3060 12 gig is also about as low as it's been. A 3060 Ti, now keep in mind this is a non-LHR variant, so I'm not real sure why this one continues to show that it's available, but you'll notice that the price ticked up a little bit here. But the LHR variant, the price is as low as it has ever been over the last 18 months. The 3070, which is also the non-LHR variant, as you can see, there hasn't been many sales of those recently. But the 3070 LHR variant prices are a little bit higher than they were a couple of weeks ago, but still much lower than they were back in November of 2022. 3070 Ti, also as low as it has been in the last 18 months. 3080 10 gig is also as low as it's been in the last 18 months. Same goes for the 3080 10 gig LHR. Well, actually, I take that back. No, it looks like 3080 LHR bottomed out sometime in November. And as far as the 3080 12 gig, price on that has actually picked up over the last couple of months. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Now, if I look at used prices, which we're going to cover here in just a moment, then you'll see that that does not align with what we're seeing here. And the 3080 Ti, I think there hasn't been any new production for a considerable amount of time. And then the 3090 price has climbed up significantly since September of last year, which is interesting. And the 3090 Ti doesn't look like it's been available for the last month, but prior to that, the price did climb back up pretty high. You can see the price of the 4070 is coming down just slightly. The 4070 Ti has actually been trending up a little bit. The 4080 has trended down over the last 30 days, but it is still higher than what it was launched at. And the 4090 price has gradually increased over the last 18 months. Now, how about AMD? So the 6500 XT is up over the last couple of months, but still pretty low in comparison to the previous 18 months. The 6600 is about as low as it's been. A 6600 XT also about as low as it's been. A 6700 XT also as low as it's been. 6800 price has picked up a little bit, which is kind of odd. 6800 XT as low as it's been. And 6900 XT has actually picked back up recently. 7900 XT continues to go down, as well as the 7900 XTX. So all interesting things to see. But as far as used pricing is concerned, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I was specifically looking at a 3080 Ti the other day on Facebook Marketplace, and I noticed one for $500. Also noticed another one for, I think it was $450. No, this one's a 3080 non-Ti, but look, $450, $480 for a 3080. We've got another 3080 for $450. So 3080s and 3080 Ti's coming in pretty freaking cheap right now. Here's another Founders Edition 3080 for $450. As far as eBay prices are concerned, we've got a 3080 Ti that sold for $405. Another one for $340. This one, old EVGA for the win, was $650. I don't think that's legit. And yeah, it typically comes in somewhere around $600, but yeah, GPU prices are getting pretty low. There was also a recent article from Tom's Hardware. I just wanted to make you guys aware of that they are doing a giveaway So earlier this morning, Nvidia officially announced its GeForce RTX 4060 family of desktop GPUs, which consist of the RTX 4060 and the RTX 4060 Ti. The two new entries bring affordability to the RTX 40 series, starting at $299 and $399 respectively. To celebrate the arrival of these GPUs, Nvidia is giving enthusiasts a chance to score one for free. In what Nvidia calls the biggest GeForce summer event ever, it will give away $150,000 worth of prizes via the Summer of the RTX 2023 sweepstakes and the Summer of the RTX 2023 contest. Sweepstakes participants will, for one of 160 RTX 4060s and RTX 4060 Ti graphics cards to be given away as prizes. In addition, 2 lucky winners will receive an RTX 4090 Founders Edition, while 2 additional winners could secure an RTX 4080 Founders Edition. If it wasn't enough, Nvidia will give away a custom PC gaming rig with an RTX 4090 worth $7,500 at MSRP, 2 360Hz Asus G-Sync monitors, and RTX on keycaps, among other goodies. You can see the complete list of sweepstakes and prizes here, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. And then also I wanted to point out that Mr. Krootman has a YouTube channel, and he speculated some hash rates for the 4060 Ti. I think he covered Radiant, Nexa, and ETH Classic, and I think his predictions are going to get pretty close. One thing that he left out of there was adjusting for the base clock and boost clock speeds. But if you guys are curious how you think that that card's going to perform, you might want to check out that video, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. Also, when it comes to the 4060, these specs compared to a 4060 Ti, they're pretty close. You know, going back to the TPA calculator here, really the only difference, or the main difference that I'm seeing, is the CUDA core count, which is not as significant as a drop as it is from, let's say, the 4070 to the 4060 Ti, or the 4070 Ti to the 4070. Actually, that one is pretty significant there. And then the base clock is pretty low on the 4060, but the boost clock is still the same as a 4060 Ti. Now, neither one of these are going to have GDDR6X. They're both going to have GDDR6. So when it comes to, you know, core intensive algorithms, I think hash rates are going to be pretty close, and $100 cheaper for a 4060. Like I said, I think that would maybe be the more interesting card to pick up for mining. But, you know, based on profitability right now, I'm sure most of you guys aren't looking at picking up new GPUs. But okay, guys, last thing on the agenda, we're getting very close to 5,000 subs. Thank you all very much. And as a giveaway, once we get there, I'm going to give away some merch. And by the way, our merch store is now open. So if you want to check it out, go to crypti.co, and I'll share the link with you guys down in the description below. But yeah, all the proceeds from this are going to go towards basically giving away merch. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Do me a favor, hit that like, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.